I'm Judy Salina. Welcome to the Millcreek Government Channel. Today on our program we have joining us Jessica James. Jessica is the recycling coordinator for Millcreek Township. And today on our program we would like to focus on maybe seniors that are looking to downsize, or maybe even residents that are moving out of the area.
Right.
And you're probably wondering, okay, what does this have to do with Jessie and recycling? But it has a lot to do with recycling, because what we want to do is talk about items that you are going to find in some of these households, which, Jessie, as we know, I mean, it may be an estate that's been there 50, 60 years.
Exactly.
And there's items in the home, this
Right.
home. What are we going to do with it?
Right.
And that's what Jessica is going to let us know, what to do with everything we find in an estate 50, 60 years in the process of storage.
Right. And I know a lot of times we like to do these shows based on, our call volume, what calls we are getting into the township. And I get this question all the time. I know I mostly work with recycling, but that does deal with a lot of questions on disposal of other items too. I mean, how do I get rid of this or that? Or I found this in my basement, it was my grandmother's, I'm not sure what to do with it. It doesn't look safe to throw out with the trash or the recycling. So that's definitely why I know we wanted to do this show. And people are, will move out of Erie and, because of a job opportunity, they have to leave, and maybe it was unexpected, or sometimes somebody is given the estate from their grandparents or their parents, and now they're tasked with cleaning the entire house out from top to bottom, attic to basement, and now they've called the recycling department, and it's, they just start listing off items A to Z, how do I get rid of this or how do I get rid of that? So
well, that's what I find so interesting, is that people who are cleaning out these estates are concerned on how to dispose of these items properly, so they do call.
Right.
That's why, like Jessie said, we felt it was pretty much of an important show to focus on some of these ways to dispose of things properly, and that's the key word, properly. First off, Jessie, this could be a very, very daunting task. Perhaps somebody has weeks to prepare and get rid of things. Say they're moving, they have to sell the house and so forth. Or it could be something that they only have a few days or a week. They live out of town, they come in to clean out their loved one's estate before putting it up for sale.
Right.
How do you even start a monumental task like this?
Right, this is a big undertaking. People have called into the office, and it is just very tough to clean out a house top to bottom. Either you've spent a lot of time in this home, and there's many memories, both associated with the home and the items inside the home. Sometimes they're tough to let go, but you don't have room for them. So it's definitely an emotionally packed question that I get, and you're gonna find everything and anything in a home when you're cleaning it out. Anything from paperwork, clothing, furniture, boxes and cans that aren't labeled with things, or labeled with what they are inside. Kitchenware, and the list goes on and on. So the first thing that I definitely want to recommend is you don't want to just jump in 2 feet without a plan. The best thing to do here would be to organize all of the items in the house, and you can maybe do it room to room. I mean, it doesn't have to, you don't have to lay everything out in the backyard, but first thing I would do is organize things into 4 piles, and those 4 piles are the keep pile, the sell pile, the donate pile, and the toss pile.
Okay.
Okay. And like you said, some of our residents have several months to prepare for this, and some are kind of thrown into it last minute. So I definitely like to caution people about being too hasty to just, I need to get rid of this tomorrow or in a week from now. I'm just going to toss everything in the dumpster and call it a day. I mean, I know we've both seen, we get a lot of cases where people have put their personal items and maybe some expensive items or some cash, some jewelry in odd places. And we've seen where money has been stored in brown paper bags. And I think a lot of people do this in case of a home burglary. They don't want, the thief to find these items. But when your family is cleaning out your home, or maybe you put it there and don't remember, you know, we don't want your items to get sent to the landfill, because once it ends up in the landfill, we're not going to get it back. So definitely check clothing drawers, unlabeled boxes, unlabeled bags, even your couch. I've heard of things being stuffed in couch cushions just to hide them, but this is a very daunting task. So don't forget to ask your family members to help you out when organizing and looking in things, under things. Just don't be too quick to toss everything, even if it doesn't look like it's important.
And like you said, organizing is probably the key to the whole thing.
It definitely is.
Right. One thing I do want to mention too is I do want to talk about, I mean, I know from experience that there are many chemicals or household hazardous waste and chemicals that are stored in basements or pantries. I know from personal experience, and we've talked, and Jesse gets a kick out of this, but it is true. I am a cleaning solution junkie. If a commercial tells me that it's going to clean this item and it's going to do this, well, then I believe it. So I'm going to go and buy it. So I know from experience, I had a whole basement filled with cleaning products that, of course, didn't do what they had promised me they were going to do. You know, maybe like change my life. And it didn't change. So what do you do with chemicals or poisons that they do find in the basement of these homes?
Right, and I think that's a really good point, and you kind of hit on it when you said cleaning solution, because sometimes people don't think of, you know, different cleaning solutions, even though they're a very mild-based chemical.
Right.
They may not think of those as household hazardous waste items. So I know sometimes we think of the real strong acids and bases, and oh my gosh, what do I do with this? I shouldn't, you know, pour this down a drain or in the grass or in the landfill. But even those simple cleaning solutions are household hazardous waste. And that's a really good point. And there's a couple other items I want to talk on. But for those items, our best avenue for you would be to contact the Waste Management at Your Door program.
Jesse, we're talking about household hazardous waste. I think to the average viewer, when they think of household hazardous waste, again, they're thinking of maybe any chemicals, cleaning supplies, or poisons. What are some items that people may not be aware of that we call and we consider household hazardous waste?
Sure, some of those items, and I'm just thinking of probably mainly the garage and the attic right now, since that's where everyone seems to store them. But first would be automotive products. So things like antifreeze, fluids, cleaners, solvents, polishes and waxes, and even rags. If you're changing your own oil and you've used a rag and now you've got oil on the rag, that's now considered a household hazardous waste, even though it's, you know, a piece of cloth, a textile.
Okay.
Flammable materials can certainly be considered household hazardous waste. That would include gasoline, some fuel, and again oil, light bulbs. We change light bulbs every day, so this doesn't even have to be when you're cleaning out a house. I mean, this could be daily when, you know, you're changing out a CFL bulb, a fluorescent tube. You know, you don't want to just throw those in the trash. They definitely have some harmful properties to them.
What about the older bulbs, the incandescent bulbs?
The incandescent lights.
Can I still throw those in the garbage, or what?
You know what? To be on the safe side, I know there have been a lot of conflicting reports out there. You know, harmful chemicals have been removed or heavy metals have been removed. It's okay to stick it in newspaper and send it back to the landfill. I don't even worry now that we have the At Your Door program. I don't question, you know, what I should send to the landfill. I just call At Your Door. And they will just accept about everything that I have to offer. If you think it's household hazardous waste, they will take it. So I would even put the incandescent light bulbs back with the At Your Door program. Something else I was thinking of was garden chemicals. People use different fertilizers, sprays, weed killers. Those can go back with the At Your Door program too. Mercury, thermometers and thermostats. I mean, these are things you find all over the house and not just in your basement. Pool chemicals, chlorine tablets, both liquid and the tablet form can go back to At Your Door.
Okay.
And I think with, and I know we've directed people both ways in the past, but batteries, both auto and household. And I've definitely had some questions in the office about the household batteries. And they've said that most of the toxins and heavy materials have been removed from those batteries, But to be on the safe side, At Your Door does take those as well. So like I said, anything that you can think of, and I've even heard of someone returning nail polish back to the At Your Door program. Something I didn't even think of to call and ask, but someone called and said, I've got 40 bottles of nail polish, where can I dispose of it? And we said, hey, let's give At Your Door a try, and it worked.
They took it, and there's chemicals in there. I want to let our viewers know how the At Your Door program came to be in Millcreek Township. With our last contract, this was offered, it was an option for us to either add it to the contract or not. It was for a very nominal fee, monthly charge to our residents. They would be able to dispose of any household hazardous waste and electronics at no additional charge. It was just a matter of a phone call. And they would be able to get rid of this correctly and properly. Being the manager of the recycling department, I knew firsthand the problem we were having getting rid of correctly a lot of these items. So we were seeing illegal dumping. We were seeing people hiding things in their trash and being taken to the landfill. I knew it was a problem. There's more of this in our life every day. There's more chemicals every day. How do you get rid of it? Electronics. So we implemented this in our contract. We were the first ones in this side of Pennsylvania. We were the guinea pig in the whole area, and now we've got Harbor Creek and I believe Fairview, and I'm not sure about West County, but I know there's other areas now that have jumped on board because they have seen how successful it's been. In fact, Jessie, how successful has this program been?
It has been wonderful. I was doing my annual report back to the county and to the DEP, and I called, and they didn't have to give me these statistics in particular, but when I called and I said, how is Millcreek doing with this program? I just found out recently we are the #1 participant in the entire state. So Millcreek is doing very, very well. We double the state participation rate, and we triple the national average of this program. So Millcreek is just really killing it with this program.
So
there's no reason.
to Millcreek residents out there. But I want to let our viewers know who maybe are not familiar with the At Your Door program or haven't used this program. I want them to know, Jessie, how easy it is to use.
It's as easy as a phone call. Okay, so what I do in particular, and a lot of people say, I've got some household batteries, and they come to me with a little sandwich baggie of batteries, and they say, how do I get rid of this? And that's great. They will definitely take that little baggie of materials. But when you give them a call, they're going to ask you what you have to dispose of. So it could be a television. Paint was the one thing we didn't mention, but they also take oil-based and latex-based paint.
Okay.
And they give you a 33-gallon bag in the mail once you call them. It's a real thick bag with labels. That way you can label any unmarked containers, okay? Take your best guess at what's inside, and make sure that if you've got a glass jar with something inside that you don't know, make sure the lid's screwed on tight. As long as it's not leaking, they'll accept it.
Okay.
But when you call them, they're going to ask what you have to dispose of. You'll let them know. They're in return going to give you a new collection date, which is going to be probably 1 to 2 weeks from the time that you call. So you have some time to get your things together. About 2 to 3 days later, you're going to receive that kit in the mail that I talked about. So that contains the bag, the labels, and a zip tie to close the bag at the top. On that new collection date that they give you, which is different than your curbside collection, this is a special collection, so they want to give you a special date.
Okay.
You're going to put all of those items in that bag at your front door. Okay, you don't want to put this at the curbside because we don't want to confuse it for curbside trash.
All right, okay.
But this is going to be placed at the front door. You can leave for work. You don't need to be there for when they collect. And when you come home from work, it's going to be gone.
And that's true. I just used the program for the first time. I was cleaning my basement of all my cleaning
Everything
supplies.
Inside.
And I did have a 33-gallon bag filled with it. And I also had a computer. They gave me the date.
Yep.
I put it out before I went to work. It was so easy. It truly, I can't tell you how easy it is.
Exactly. And they also give you a survey card. That way you can give us and tell us what your experience is. I get all of those survey cards back from Millcreek Township residents, and I have to tell you, I have never received anything but glowing reports. And the thing that I find ironic about the survey cards is they do ask you how long you've had these materials in your basement, and I would say most of the time on the survey card, it's been circled 11 to 25 years. Okay, so people have either had this around a really long time,
Right.
or if they bought a new house like I just did, I just found it in my basement and I knew it was there a very long time. So, and with that, Millcreek had such a high participation rate. Our sorting station where they, sent things off to be recycled, it was, I don't want to call it a transfer site, but they processed the materials. They would drive up from Pittsburgh and collect all of Millcreek's at once and head back down to Pittsburgh. So they would do this over a 1 or 2 day span. We had such a high participation rate that they had to give us our own transfer station here in Erie.
We are doing good.
We are doing very good. So we're very happy with the progress we've made with At Your Door.
Well, we've covered pretty thoroughly what household hazardous waste is. What is considered electronics? Just computers?
No, for electronics, computers, monitors, keyboards, the mice, any peripherals you have, speakers. As far as electronics, they'll even take something like a microwave because it's got electronics within the microwave. Okay, so any piece of equipment that you would consider an electronic, they will take back.
Telephones, radios,
Yes.
anything like that?
Yes, they take it all back, which is very convenient for us because in January of 2013, they did pass a law that stated we could no longer throw electronics like computers and televisions and peripherals out at the curbside. Of course, they have many heavy metals inside them. We don't want these leaching into even the landfill. We don't want it to go there. Right. So the new law was passed, and this helped us. And I know you saw this when you signed up for the program because I wasn't on board yet. But this helped us accommodate that law for our residents.
Because another thing, we got tons of phone calls. How do I get rid of a TV? Because now you cannot leave a curbside. It will not be taken with your regular trash. So a television set, again, is considered household hazardous waste or electronics.
Exactly.
And can be collected with the At Your Door program. Jessica, is everybody in Millcreek Township eligible for the At Your Door program?
No, not everybody is eligible, and I can explain why. Those who are eligible are a part of the quarterly billing cycle with Waste Management. So you're going to get that quarterly. You probably live in a residential home or some apartments, some condos, but you're going to have to receive that $60.54 bill from Waste Management quarterly. You're going to have to receive that bill to be a part of this, okay? It's one and the same program with our trash collection and recycling collection. So if you happen to live, and the ones off the top of my head are apartments, condos, and mobile home parks. And this isn't a blanket statement. I mean, I would definitely check with At Your Door first and see what your landlord has, set up for you with you as far as collection. But I, off the top of my head, would say apartments, condos, and mobile home parks are not eligible for this program, but the Erie County Recycling Program has set up a different avenue so that, again, people can be in compliance with this new law.
So they can still get rid of it?
Exactly. There's still an avenue to get rid of it. The county's program, they have a convenience center located on Fillmore Avenue, which again is in Millcreek, so it's still very convenient. And they are open on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and once a month on a Saturday. And I don't have the specific dates in front of me, but I know we're going to put that on the television screen so everybody can see what those dates are.
And
too.
also a phone number to call to set up an appointment.
Exactly.
At this collection site for the county.
Right. And the one thing I wanted to mention, we were just talking about televisions. A lot of people say to me, well, I've got a big flat screen TV. It's one of those, huge TVs with the big back, and it doesn't fit in a 33-gallon bag. What do I do? Or, same with the fluorescent tubes. They're just too long to fit in the bag. There are some items, and you can either go to our website or go to www.wmatyourdoor.com. And for certain items, you may place them outside the bag. So what I do actually is I start my own little recycle bin. It's maybe just a 15-gallon bin or so, and I fill it up with things like aerosol cans, shaving lotion, spray paint cans, bulbs, things like that, regular paint. I wait till my bin is full and then I make that call. That way I know that they're stopping for a true full 33-gallon bag before, I need to, call again.
Because I know in my collection, I did fill the 33-gallon bag, but I also had the computer, which I sat right next to.
Right
The
outside
computer,
the
the
bag.
monitor, and the keyboard, and the mouse, and it sat right next to the bag when I came home.
Yep.
Everything was gone.
Yes.
So it really is great. Now we're talking about household hazardous waste. As I'm cleaning out my loved one's estate, or I decide to move, I have got tons and boxes of paperwork. A lot of it has very sensitive information. It's got my Social Security, it's got my bank account numbers on it. How do I get rid of that safely?
Right. So there's a lot of things we find in these estates that may not be household hazardous waste, but I certainly don't want to recycle them or, feel comfortable putting them in the landfill. So what we have put in place for that, and a lot of seniors have already taken advantage of this, is our senior shredding program with Shred-X of Erie. They're a local Millcreek business, and they're located at 2952 West 22nd Street. But any senior 65 and older can take any of their items to be shredded from their household to Shred-X, and they will be shredded in front of them at no cost. Okay, so we've put this in place, and I know we've talked before about what you can find in your attic or basement. The owner of Shred-X has told us that they do not want Millcreek seniors climbing into their attic or basement to grab these really, really heavy boxes of paper. So he has also set up a service with us where he will send out an employee, and they're going to be, they're going to be labeled. Okay, so make sure they've got a Shred-X T-shirt on, or they have some sort of identification. You don't want a stranger coming up to your house, but they're going to be labeled, and they will come into your attic, into your basement. They've got some strong guys who can carry down those boxes for you. They'll take them back to their shredding facility and shred it within 30 minutes. So that's a wonderful program for our seniors who are over 65. And actually, they've also set up the program for anyone who has recently lost a loved one.
So if you're cleaning out an estate of a loved one, they will come to the house, or you can take it to them, and they'll shred it at no charge. One thing I do want to point out, when Jessica mentioned, make sure they, have a Shred-X T-shirt or whatever on. Nobody's going to come to your door and say, you know what, we're in the neighborhood, we want to shred some items, we'll be glad to do this for you. They're only going to show up if you've called them and made an appointment with them. So if anyone comes to your door and volunteers a free service,
Right.
Tell them no, you're not interested, and give the township a phone call.
Right,
So
exactly.
we know if somebody was trying to do that. But no, they are not going to come to your door unless you set up an appointment. The company is Shred-X that we have worked this agreement with, and they have been very, very wonderful to our seniors.
Right, and this program has been in place for a couple years. We did it for a year as a test trial to see how it would work out, and it was so phenomenal. We got such great feedback. The company just loved helping out Millcreek seniors, so it was definitely worth extending year after year. Their phone number, if you need to give them a call for some reason, or to set up that in-home visit to grab your boxes, their number is 833-9035. Okay, so you don't need to call the township to set up the appointment. You can call them directly. They are insured and bonded. You can stand and watch your items be shredded, or if you're not able to stay, or if they come to your home and have to remove the items and take them back, they will send you a certificate of destruction. And the other thing I wanted to mention too was, again, when you are cleaning out someone's estate, I know we really want to be careful with those documents, and people are quick to do things. Just make sure, and I know we've both been through this, but just make sure that you aren't throwing out those sensitive documents before you're ready to. Maybe something is going on with the estate or with a lawyer. Make sure you keep the bank statements or the house deed or income tax returns, different paperwork. Make sure you have a copy of that until everything is finalized, and then take it to be shredded.
Okay. What about some of the big items? What are some ideas to get rid of furniture, couches, chairs, tables?
Sure.
Just throw it Curbside?
Well, I know a lot of people like to.
she'll say no.
I was like, please don't throw it curbside. I see so many times.
Did you see the panic on her face?
It is. It's like, oh my God. You know, I always laugh. I said, you know, I have been into, you know, furniture restoration and things like that. And when you're cleaning out a house, you know, you've got couches, furniture, appliances, antique items. I mean, I can't tell you how popular it is now that people want those items and they want to fix them up and they want to repurpose them. Even if you think it's, you know, just an old cast iron wheel, you know, somebody can repurpose that. I know Judy and I are on Pinterest all the time and sharing ideas with each other, but people love those items now, especially all those DIY shows. You know, that's a really hot topic right now. So don't be so quick to put it at the curb. You know, we've got a couple options for you. You can certainly take furniture and clothing to the Erie City Mission, which I know is a favorite of yours. We've got Goodwill and Salvation Army here locally too. Depending on the item, if it's furniture or an appliance in good working condition, you can take it back to Habitat for Humanity. And they're a resale store that sells things like kitchen cabinets and you know, working appliances and doors and fencing and things like that. So, but I think the key here is to know that everything still must be in good condition or good working
Habitat
order.
for Humanity. Yeah, they're a wonderful organization. You can always give them a call too to see if they are accepting that item.
Right.
I know we're getting to the end of the show, but I also wanted to touch base briefly. What if I don't feel like separating and taking something here, something there?
Right. If you
Another way to get rid of is, you want a couple ways, Jessie?
Sure, yeah. Well, I myself, and I will freely admit that I'm a flea market junkie. So if you're going to be, you know, cleaning out a whole estate and, you know, you maybe need a little bit of cash back, I think the flea markets around town are always a good idea. I saw this weekend we had over 100 garage sales in Erie. You can take your items to be auctioned off at an auction. The auctioneer will come to your home, take a look at those items. They may give you bulk pricing on what they think it'll all go for or individualize things out. The auction I know, or the ones that I've seen, can either be done actually at your home, so you don't have to move the items,
Right.
or they can, you know, transfer the items back to their facility and do it there.
Okay.
I do want to, I know that I've seen in the past, I do want to caution, things can go at any price. So you have to be willing to let your items, of course, go high. Who wouldn't, you know, love that?
Right.
Or some of your memorable belongings might go low too. We've got some estate sales around town, and those usually happen on Saturdays and Sundays. There's consignment stores where people put your items on consignment.
So there are a lot of places they can look at to get rid of things.
Exactly.
If anyone has any questions, Jessie, on anything we didn't touch base on, what are a couple quick ways that they could get some information?
In the back of the Millcreek calendar each year, and I know in particular our 2014 calendar, we have an appendix page where we list out from A to Z anywhere where you can think of to take any item that you find in your home. So I would say anything from antifreeze all the way down to tires and you know, any household item you can think of, and you said, you know, I don't think this should go in the trash, I don't know where to put it. Feel free to look in the back of the calendar first.
Okay.
We put a lot of things in the magazine. You can certainly give us a phone call.
I was going to say, anything you have, if it's not in the calendar, please feel free to give Jessie a call. Thank you so much for joining us, Jessica.
Thank you so much.
Great information. Viewers, if you have any questions, again, check out the website or give Jessica a call. Until next time, thank you for tuning in to the Millcreek Government Channel.
You're watching the Millcreek